chief guest, that is the CS for water, sanitation and irrigation, Alice Wahome. Makofi yake, hata ni kama the minute you walked in, they just started cheering. So thank you for being here this morning. And sitting next to her, we have Christopher Thornley, the Canadian High Commissioner. And thank you for agreeing to take part in our exercise this morning. And we also have the Member of Parliament for Dagoretti North. Wanawake ya Dagoretti North. We also have the Executive Director, Crown Trust, Daisy Amdani. All right, Daisy, I'll invite you to make the opening remarks.
Thank you, Olive. Good morning once again. Your Excellency, the High Commissioner for Canada in Kenya, Mr. Christopher Thornley, the Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Alice Wahome, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, Honorable Waithira Shege, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's or this year's Annual Women's Convention. The Annual Women's Convention is an event that was initiated under the Women, Voice and Leadership Program that is supported by the Global Affairs Canada and is delivered in Kenya through the support of CARE Canada, CARE Kenya, and has 4 principal partners in Kenya, namely Uraia Trust, CREW, Urgent Action Fund for Women, and Crown Trust. Crown Trust leads on the networking and alliance building pillar. And under this pillar, our role is to bring together stakeholders to discuss pertinent issues affecting women and girls in Kenya. The core aim of the Women's Voice and Leadership Program is to ensure that women and girls in Kenya are able to enjoy their human rights to the fullest extent possible. It's a very innovative program. It is a program that is different from the way other donor programs are delivered because it allows for the women's rights organizations to identify their key issues and to work around it. The Women's Voice and Leadership Program also supports organizations, women's rights organizations from the grassroots, even those nascent organizations that ideally do not get support or funding. But through the Women's Voice and Leadership Program, there are grants that have been given to support young organizations to grow, established organizations to be more institutionally sound, and to identify on their own the key issues that we feel we need to address as women's rights movement in Kenya. So we want to appreciate Global Affairs Canada, and I want to recognize the presence of Suzanne. Suzanne, stand so that everybody can see you. Suzanne is from Global Affairs Canada. She's from the Canadian government in Canada, and she's come here. She's in Kenya visiting just to see what the Women's Voice and Leadership Program has been doing. And they help to coordinate the program both from Canada and locally. I also want to recognize Linda. Linda, I know you're a silent, behind-the-scenes person, but also stand up. Linda Kagota is also she works here in Kenya at the Canadian High Commission with Global Affairs Canada. And it's really amazing support that they have given to us as principal partners and to the women's movement in Kenya. And so in being able to identify some of the issues that are pertinent to women, each year we have this convening, the annual Women's Rights Convention, where we look at the different themes and things that are affecting us. We all know that climate change is a major issue, not just in Kenya, but globally. We know that we are currently in the throes of a very severe drought in Kenya, and we've seen the devastating effects. We have members of the community here from upcountry who will give us their testimonials on how they have been affected by climate change. And so this year, that is the theme for the annual Women's Rights Convention, looking at the gendered impacts of climate change. And I want to thank you for making time to be here. So without taking too much time, it is my great pleasure to invite to the podium the High Commissioner from Canada, Mr. Christopher Thornley. Very humble man, and he's so good. He always, every time we invite him, he allows us to disrupt his very busy schedule to come and attend our events. And so, Mr. Thornley, thank you for allowing us to do that, and welcome and make your remarks. I think we can do better.
Thank you, Daisy. This is not a disruption to my schedule. It is my schedule. It's such an important part of the work we do. So I'm very, very pleased to be here with all of you. While this is a women's conference, and maybe it would be better if the Canadian High Commissioner were a woman, I can tell you that the last two were women, and our government has ensured that half of all of our heads of mission around the world are women as well, and that there is gender equity. So that's a small indication of our commitment. Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome, member of the Nairobi County Assembly, the Honorable, pardon me if I don't pronounce properly, Waitera Chege, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm really pleased to see all of you here. We were just commenting what a good number of people are here with representation from all around the country and from many different walks of life. And I'm very pleased to see a number of men in the audience as well, because we can't achieve gender equity and women's rights without men obviously being involved. So it's very good to see all of you here today. What an important time it is for this event to be happening following the recent COP27 event in Sharm el-Sheikh and the upcoming UN conference on biodiversity, COP15, which is held in a place we all know in Montreal, Canada, in December. Along with being High Commissioner to Kenya, I'm Canada's permanent representative to the UN Environment Program, so the theme today is extremely important to me. I feel the importance of women's leadership and inclusion in this sector has finally been recognized as essential to our collective goals. Probably far too late, but better late than never. It's like getting the Mzungo to dance, which you did. If you can do that, you can get many things done. As this convention aims to ensure the inclusion of women and women leaders in all areas of climate change action, it's of course extremely relevant. In short, Kenyan women, and women across the world for that matter, must have a say in climate action efforts, because we know that the adverse effects of climate change and environmental degradation disproportionately affect women and those most vulnerable and marginalized. I also know if we want to get it better and improve things, women must be involved in every walk of life. That's what really makes a difference. As you know, Canada's focus in all of our development work aims to empower women and girls and reduce inequality. In addition, one of our key priorities is environment and climate action, with the empowerment of women and girls at the center. One of our foundational programs, which we're very pleased and proud supports today's event, the Women's Voice and Leadership Program, helps to strengthen women's rights organizations and networks so that they can access locally available financing solutions and can equally participate in climate change decision-making bodies. It's been a good week in that regard. I've been busy for the last few mornings. We had an event involving the AECF, which is a fund that is focused on women in agriculture to help women-led companies grow. And in fact, while we finished one part of it, another part is starting here in Kenya, focusing on the blue economy. And then yesterday we launched the KVEST, which I think is one of the best acronyms we have, Kenya Blue Economy Skills Training Program, which also focuses on women in that sector, very important parts of what we do. And we continue to do more. Canada is doubling its previous commitment to international climate finance to $5.3 billion over 5 years, that's with a B, which includes increased funds for adaptation and biodiversity. And within this allocation, we will ensure that a minimum of 80% of projects integrate gender equality considerations. Further, we will ensure that climate-related planning, policy-making, and financing address the needs and challenges of women and girls and support employment and business opportunities for women working in the climate, energy, and natural resources sector. But this requires a collective effort, and that is why this gathering is important. The broad and diverse attendance in this room is what affects change. And I know that the discussions you will have today will produce change, especially given what you've already accomplished. We are very proud of the work we've done in partnership with the national government, county governments, women's rights organizations, and other partners in Kenya. Canada will continue to advocate with you on environment and climate action issues, whether it be through our gender lens, investing in programs, or our technical and education programs, and you've heard about a few of them just now. And we will advocate to support implementation of progressive laws and policies, such as Article 43 of the Kenya Constitution and the National Environment Policy of 2013 that enhances environmental conservation efforts and mitigates the adverse effects of climate change. I've been really impressed with working with the still quite new government, with the commitment they have to addressing some of these issues, including, as was mentioned, the very, very serious drought situation in the arid and semi-arid parts of Kenya. I think we're getting into our 5th year of failed rains and drought, and we know people are suffering, so we're very hopeful that working in partnership with the government of Kenya that we'll see some very positive results. And I'd like to say that you can count on Canada as a partner in your movement building and your advocacy. We will continue to work with you to build a strong movement so that women and women's voices are included in decision making and are represented and heard in this space. I don't think we have to work too hard to create a strong movement. I think you have a strong movement, but we would like to continue working with you to sustain it. And I'm very pleased to see women representatives of government. Our Women's Voices in Leadership focuses on that. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, we'd like to see more of you in Cabinet, 50%. But we'll get there, I know. In closing, I'd like to acknowledge the Government of Kenya's efforts in promoting a clean and healthy environment for the residents of Nairobi City and Kenya, and promoting favorable investments in locally led, climate-smart innovations and solutions. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate Crown Trust, the Nairobi City County Assembly Ward Office of Honorable Waithera Chege, the Office of the Member of Parliament of Dagoretti North, the Honorable Beatrice Elachi, the Association of Media Women in Kenya, and the Voices for Just Climate Action Project for bringing us all together at such an important time. It has been made very clear that we are running out of time. We are at risk. The devastating drought here in Kenya that I referred to and the broader Horn of Africa are testament to that. However, we also have an untapped and underused resource, women and girls. We know that they can make change and get us back on track, and Canada is here to support you to do that. I wish you a very successful event, and I look forward to hearing about the outcomes of this event. Thank you all. Merci beaucoup. Asante sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much, High Commissioner. And I really just want to appreciate, once again, the support of the Global Affairs Canada, the Canadian government for their support to the women's movement in Kenya. I think perhaps the best partnership ever, you know? We look at our donor relations, but honestly, the Canadian government is very keen on true partnership. This is what you call true partnership, not where you are told what to do, but where they come and they sit with you and they support you in doing the interventions that you see as important and support you all the way. So we really want to appreciate that. It is now my pleasure to introduce and to welcome, to make her remarks, our chief guest, Mama Wanguvu Kabisa, the Honorable Alice Wahome, Cabinet Secretary. We all know Alice. Before I allow Alice to speak, we know that Alice has been a very key member of the women's movement in Kenya. She has been a champion for women for decades, fighting for legal frameworks, fighting for women's rights. She's been in the trenches, and today she sits in the apex policy-making body of our country. And even there, she remains a voice for women fighting for us. And so we have an ally. She's not one of those who, when she ascends, now you try to call her, she's like, talk to my PA. She is there for us. She remains a friend. And so, Alice, I want to welcome you to make your opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy, for those very kind words and remarks. Yeah, good morning. Wamama hai. Warembo mko? Naona warembo ndio wengi. How are you? Bado ni mapambano, si ndio? This morning I know you are here to fight for justice for the climate. Isn't it? And the climate has a big impact on us women. So yes, Daisy, I agree. In me, continue to hold me as an ally. I want to make my commitment because it's true, the women movement has been part and parcel of my growth to reach where I have reached. So you are entitled to seek my support where you think the government, now that I'm sitting in the cabinet, require to work with you. The government is the government of the people, and women must continue to see and seek for their allies wherever they are within the government, irrespective of our different political affiliations. We have agreed before as women that we need to work together. So this morning I'm excited to share this platform with Christopher Thornley, the Canadian High Commissioner, and Lily. It is noted and known that Canada is one of the lead partners in this country, and therefore I see also you have a very good and easy to work with ally, ever committed. I've been to Canada through the Law Society of Kenya because the bar here in Kenya has a very good linkage with the bar in Canada, the legal profession in Canada. The women rights initiative that Daisy, with the partners you are leading, is quite on time. I think it is a very timely, and especially the current topic, because the topic is very live, and I'm happy that you have also reached out to my good friend, Honorable Beatrice Elachi. We have worked with Beatrice Elachi. She has a lot of energies and time and space for women, so continue. And then she's the one going maybe now to lead the women issues on the floor of the House, where of course I have, yes. So I want to challenge her to see how she can coordinate Kewopa and other women, yes. And it is a tall order, but you can also be assured that we will be there to work with you. And I know you have the capacity to do it, coordinate the women in Parliament. Of course, you all know that I returned my third term to Parliament, and I'm looking at all of you here, and I'm seeing current and future women members of Parliament, possibly the Cabinet Secretary tomorrow and the day after, and therefore look at the steps we have taken and them for lessons learned. Pack them and grow them. Don't just pack them there, just look at them and see what you can use. So this morning, thank you, Daisy, for continuously knocking on my doors. The last 3, I'm how old in the office? Is it 1.5 months? I haven't found my feet yet, and I'm working very hard to be able to stand firm. And of course, even in those spaces, we shall need the support of women all over and everywhere, because it will also require partnership in other areas other than the women rights issues. You know, cases of food security are women rights issues, cases of water. Women are the biggest consumers of water. Without water, you don't have good health in your families, and therefore we, as a country, the government, of course, has the highest responsibility to deal with 3 issues under Article 43. Ensure that we have access to affordable, clean water. That's the responsibility of the government under Article 43. Afford proper sanitation, which is within my ministry, to every Kenyan. Thirdly, to ensure that we have food security, that we have food for the nation. Therefore, I'm rightly and properly in the right place this morning to address 1 or 2 issues. And Daisy, I want to also welcome you to the ministry. I know you came one day when I'm in a hurry. Let's have a chat and see how we can do another meeting as a follow-up, or possibly sponsored by your partners together with my ministry. Thank you. I have a few written points here which I think we can share this morning, and I wish to start by thanking you all on behalf of the team that has brought us here together, to have found time and spirit strength to come this morning as we convene here as women leaders and allies. Women in Action Leading Climate Change, Adaptation, Greening Kenya. You know, this subject is huge, that we should take action as women, correct? And that we should lead in greening Kenya. We therefore need to look at climate change adaptation as a very pertinent, serious issue. It is a pleasure on my own behalf and that of the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation to participate in this year's annual Women Rights Convention. Indeed, the theme of the convention falls within the government's priority areas. I welcome you to this year's Women's Rights Convention and wish you well as you work to ensure that women are leading gender responsive in climate change action. You all know that water is life. Today, women and girls are taking the lead against climate change against climate change, and are frequently the first to act to defend their communities and families. They are the pioneers and the change agents. They determine the majority of daily resource consumption and decisions. They are crucial to sourcing and use of water for domestic use. Of course, maybe I should hasten to add, including industrial use. You know, the flower farms, you know, the irrigation farms, even in our small gardens, it's women who can determine how much water will be used without wastage, because wastage, again, is a key aspect of this conversation. You know, in domestic use, you can decide to rinse your clothes 3-4 times, but maybe once will be enough. You can decide to leave the tap running as you brush your teeth, and you can teach the children how to stop the tap from running. All this water wastage, the leakages around, are part of the subject that we should be discussing. Because of this, women and girls are not only well suited to finding solutions to stop environmental degradation and adapt to a changing climate, but they also have a personal interest in doing so. Women and girls are seated with us here. I'm sure you have girls in your stomachs. There could be somebody here calling a baby girl. Take care of that baby girl. And I know there are also those who could be carrying a baby boy. I also see young women. So when we say girls, we are talking not only in here, but outside. This event will be a one-day convention where we will be discussing the intersectionality of gender and climate change. Water sanitation, hygiene wash is key in today's discussions. The outcomes of those discussions will help us to know how we can address issues of water sanitation and irrigation as we follow through the resolutions or commitments made by our government and those of other national governments like Canada during COP27, and how the county governments in this particular issue led today here by way of legislature or assembly by Honorable Waithera Chege. And I know she's key in bringing this meeting together. Mheshimiwa Waithera, uko upande gani? Huyo. Mpatieni huyo mrembo makofi. I could claim that she is my mentee and she's doing very well. The event will also explore opportunities for women and vulnerable groups to work together and keep the space open to deliver better outcomes for women. Overall, the event will speak to the importance of women leading climate change movement, climate change adaptation, especially the re-greening of Nairobi as a county. The case for Nairobi River is a big debate there and work to do. I'm glad to say and note that our president has already announced that he will be working on cleaning Nairobi River. And I believe the office of the president and other partners are working on a program to put that in place so that we can have it cleaned. Because down the river, we shall be having dams that require to maybe give water, domestic water. So we have to clean the sources. And Nairobi River is one of those. Karibuni sana, asanteni sana. It's now my singular pleasure to declare this meeting, this convention, duly opened. Thank you very much. Enjoy yourselves, create the networks, and ensure that you put in place, you implement the resolutions. Let it not be just another meeting. Ensure that you find your place within the climate change discussion. The country will be led by the president to plant 500 billion trees. My ministry and that of environment will be working to see that we have nurseries to grow these seedlings so that then we can distribute. I'm therefore committing my ministry to work with you, with women, both at the grassroots and at the national level, because we need the trees before we can have the water. And my business is to give people water. Without securing the environment, then we don't have adequate water. And time for action is now. So it's now. Let's say together, time for action is now. Are we going to go for it? Yes. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Enjoy.
All right, makofi ingine. The time for action is now. She's given us a rallying call. And even as we thank those who have, our mweshimiwas here, who have graced this momentous occasion, I'd like us to also clap for the organizations here that have made it possible for us to be here. We've had our mweshimiwa, the CS, Honorable, the CS's mentee, Waithera Chege, makofi kwake. MP for Dagoretti North, wanawake wa Dagoretti. We also have Women's Voices in Leadership, Voices for Climate Action, County Government of Nairobi, and not forgetting Global Affairs Canada. Makofi. Na makofi kwenu pia. I'm told that the CS has another engagement as well as the High Commissioner. So we will release you, but we are asking that Cron Trust has programs in Nyandarua, West Pokot, Kwale, and these women there are working on climate solutions. So on your way out, please, if you could visit the booths where they're displaying the initiatives they've undertaken. Thank you very much. Makofi tena.